Gentleman from Sallisaw, Representative Bennett John, you are recognized for 10 minutes of debate in opposition to HJR 1050.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, Will Rogers said the difference between death and taxes is that death doesn't get worse every time that Congress meets. Unbelievable, we're sitting here debating over if we should send a state question to the vote of the people to ask them, oh, is it okay if we lower the threshold to raise your taxes? Trust me when I say this, bad news or bad ideas does not get better with time. They feel the same way today as they did back in 1992 when they got together an initiative petition on their own free will after the body that was in this chamber voted to raise their taxes to unbelievable levels. They said that's enough. We are not going to allow this to happen again. And that's why we have State Question 640. Do y'all remember that? Some of you might have not been born there. Okay, fine. Why don't you go Google it? Google and read up on the history of it. People haven't changed. The problem is, just like I mentioned in a debate earlier today, is we're living in a bubble up here. People have their hands out. State agencies have their hands out. Gimme, gimme, gimme. And if you don't, I'm going to get you beat in your district during election time. I'm going to throw money against you. And you cower down to that. That's the simple facts. And yes, Representative Bennett's being abrasive again. My wife tells me I don't have much of a filter between my brain and my mouth. Well, that's okay because the truth only hurts when it should. The people are sick and tired of us trying to raise their taxes. They certainly don't want us to try to make it easier for us to raise their taxes. And to say different is just absolutely absurd. So State Question 640, what did it do? It said no revenue bill shall be passed during the last 5 days of the session. It also said voter approval of bills raising revenue or 3/4 approval of bills raising revenue by both the House and the Senate and actions on the bill by the governor. Notice that it said vote approval of bills raising revenue by the people first. That was in there for a reason. How many have we sent out to a vote of the people? None from this body. How come we're not pushing so hard to do that? How many years have we wasted up here trying to get 76 votes to raise people's taxes? It's not going to work. And it won't work because the constituents in the districts like mine, and I'm certain it's not alien, like the other representative said a while ago, my people are overwhelmingly telling me, what are y'all doing up there? Stop trying to raise our taxes. Figure out another way. Maybe you need to go talk to the rest of your constituents. This is just absolutely absurd. You know what it does? You know what happens when we have the easy ability to raise taxes in this chamber? We no longer have the incentive to do the right thing and manage the tax money that we currently have. It gives this body a free pass to stick it to our citizens instead of doing the right thing or the things we're supposed to be doing. Why on earth would Republicans in this body that has a platform that clearly states we will not raise taxes on our citizens be pushing to make it easier to raise taxes? That is just crazy to me. Why are we doing this? Why don't we see in the tax increases that even the author of this bill has voted yes for and have failed in his chamber? How come we haven't sent them to a vote of the people? I'm all for that. I would vote to do that. And by the Constitution, we could have and should have done that. But we're not. We're trying to make it easier so we can raise the taxes here without the people having a say. Let them decide. The citizens voted against a tax increase this past election in 2016. So why are we trying to make it easier to raise taxes? They have already spoken. This isn't from 1992. This is from 2016. What it means is we should be fiscally responsible and fund core functions of government like education, public safety, health care, and transportation at appropriate levels and cut out the fat out of our state government. And the waste is there, but we're not addressing that now, are we? Did you know the Chancellor of Higher Ed makes over $400,000 a year? We want to raise taxes, though. How about other waste in government? You know, UCO donated tens of thousands of dollars to things that go against Oklahoma values. How about cutting the wasteful wind credits? There's millions going out the door in wind credits. We haven't addressed that. How about some of the other stuff that we haven't addressed? How about a $20 million that OU paid for an Italian monastery in Italy? OSU is hiring a full-time rock climbing coordinator with a master's degree. They're giving therapy dogs at OU for students to de-stress during finals weeks. Seriously? But we can't be good stewards of our taxpayer dollar up here. It's easier to raise their taxes. There's so much more, but I just don't have time or the space to list them all today. But I've got a list if you'd like to see it later. So instead of talking about making it easier to raise taxes on all lower and middle income earners in the state of Oklahoma, we need to be cutting waste. But we're not doing it. We need to live within our means. There's no evidence that making it easier to raise taxes or raising taxes on our citizens is going to help us out. Because you know what happens? We keep spending. We increase the spending, and when we need more money, what do? We're doing what we're doing today. We're coming back to the well. We went to the well for 1017. We went to the well for lottery. We went to the well for all these other increases on the folks of Oklahoma, and we're back again because we never addressed the root of the problem. And that is the fact that this body, whoever's here during that time, has not addressed the spending problem, has not addressed the out-of-control tax credits, or all the other things in our state that we should be doing as this body. The raising taxes approach is only going to put Oklahoma in the loser category. The citizens lose and we lose. Keep raising taxes? Okay, fine. Then this political body will always come back for more. We've proven it historically. You know, Winston Churchill said it best when he said, for a nation to try and tax itself into prosperity is like a man standing in the bucket and trying to lift himself up by the handle. Why don't we do the responsible thing like we do in our own homes? We demand Oklahoma citizens do it. We cut out the waste that we don't need, and we protect and fund the vulnerable areas. We require Oklahoma families to do it. Why do we get a free pass? We think we got a free pass because it's somebody else's money. The people have spoken. All the tax increases statewide in State Question 779, bond issues in my own district, even in Oklahoma City, they tried to raise taxes for a good reason, and it failed because the people don't want to be taxed to death. You're probably sitting there saying, well, my citizens, they want to be taxed more. Okay, fine. Or they want me to vote for tax increases. Okay, fair enough. Then I would remind you to tell them, and even you, if that's you that wants to raise taxes, you can write a check to the General Revenue Fund. I'll find the address for you, and you can send it in yourself. Just because you can afford to pay higher taxes or want to or charge somebody else, it doesn't give you any right to put that burden on all Oklahoma taxpayers. And that is exactly what you're doing. And that is exactly why we have State Question 640. So vote no on this bill, and let's live within our means like our citizens have to in their own homes. Vote no, making it easier for this body to vote in tax increases. Cut the waste and protect the vulnerable. It is the right thing to do. We must be good stewards of the taxpayer dollars. Why on earth would they trust us with more tax dollars when we waste them like we do now? Stop putting the burden on lower and middle income Oklahomans by allowing this body to raise taxes. You know, I ask you to vote no and prove to your constituents. Prove to them today that you will protect them and not vote to make their lives harder by taxing them to death. Vote no and making it easier to raise people's taxes. You know, I grew up on an old dirt farm. My grandparents lived off their Social Security checks and whatever they could raise and grow on the farm and sell. I would venture to say most of you probably have never been out on those farms and saw what these people have to go through. Or maybe some of you that live in the urban areas, some of you may not. Go out and see how your citizens live. Whenever 3 cents gas tax increase or 6 cents on cigarettes or this and that, how much that hurts them. It's okay to you because you make plenty of money. Or maybe those friends of yours are saying, no, we need more money, when they're making $40,000 to $80,000 a year, but your constituents are making $20,000. Think about that. Think about them not having money to even buy milk to give to their children. That's the real issue here. The real issue is not about funding all these people with their hands out. The real issue is they just want to raise taxes because it's easier to say, look, I got money for you. Vote me back in. I'm good for you. It's about silencing the minority that's telling you we got to have more tax money. When the facts are these. Go knock on 100 doors this weekend, and you come back and tell me how many of them said, yeah, go ahead and raise our taxes. And I don't mean go into the rich neighborhoods. Go into your constituents' neighborhoods and ask them. I'm telling you, this is a huge mistake. If you vote yes on this bill, you're telling your constituents, yep, I'm going to tax you to death. I'm going to tax you to death because it's easier for me to get more money and spend it where people want it than it is for me to do the right thing as your legislator and cut waste. vote no on this bill.